Good evening, and welcome to another exciting show. And our guest tonight, um, I'll try to. Привет, Natasha. Uh, sorry, I'll probably pronounce it wrong. It's Dr. Natasha. Welcome to the show.
Hello, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's an honor for you to be on the show, and thank you very much for coming on the show. And if you could possibly tell us a little bit about your background, because I believe you're originally from Russia.
That's right, I'm Russian. I'm a medical doctor and specialized in nutrition, human nutrition. And before then, I specialized in neurology. And I've lived in the UK now for a long time. I can't believe how long, 35 years.
Wow.
And that's right, very long. And I started working in this country 35 years ago, a bit less than 35 years ago, with autism initially. And then it slowly enlarged to other learning disabilities in children, to psychiatric conditions, neurological conditions, and then to all the physical problems that people have, chronic illnesses, autoimmunity, allergies, neurological, hormonal abnormalities, digestive disorders, all kinds of physical and mental problems in people, chronic. I'm the creator of the GAPS concept, gut and psychology syndrome and gut and physiology syndrome. That's what GAPS is, gut and psychology syndrome, which is a concept which covers every chronic disease in the world without exception.
Really? That's incredible.
So this syndrome has been described in two of my books, gut and psychology syndrome and gut and physiology syndrome, which you can see here in the picture. The yellow
Oh,
book
yes.
is
And where can you get these books from? Oh, by the way, we've also got Patrick. I forgot to mention Patrick. Paul Patrick's in the background as well.
Hello.
Good evening, Patrick.
Yeah, good
So,
evening.
gut and psychology syndrome.
This
Now-
is my first book. That's the book that came out in 2004, which
Yes.
launched the GAPS nutritional protocol into the world, and it focused on the brain. Because at the time, I worked with learning disabilities in children with autism and with psychiatric conditions in people. So I've explained where every mental illness comes from and gave a nutritional protocol for dealing with that situation at home without any professional supervision. So this book has been translated into best part of 30 languages now. It's a global phenomenon. It became GAPS protocol has become a global phenomenon. This is the second GAPS book, which goes side by side with the yellow book, because this one focuses on the rest of the body. The yellow book focuses on the brain. This one focuses on all the physical conditions, autoimmunity, allergies, hormonal abnormalities, neurological illnesses, and allergies and all kinds of other chronic illnesses in people. So this book came out in 2020. So it's the latest book, and it has most updated information. So as you can tell, because the first book came out in 2004, GAPS concept has been around for more than 20 years now, for a long time, and it's a global phenomenon. It helped
Yes, it
many
is.
people all over the world to improve their health and recover from all kinds of chronic illnesses. I have trained thousands of GAPS practitioners and GAPS coaches around the world. All of these people work in different countries around the world, helping people to recover and to help with their chronic illnesses. And we all share information. We in communication with each other, of course, all of these professionals. So we've accumulated a huge amount of clinical data, clinical information, which we share. And over the years, people were asking me questions: is there any disease that cannot be helped by the GAPS nutritional protocol? Today, I have to say with absolute certainty, there isn't. Every chronic disease can be helped by using this healing protocol. Why? Because human body is a microbial community. We now know that. We started talking about it 35 years ago, in this country, and the science now has confirmed everything we were saying in the alternative medicine. So human body is a microbial community. There are more microbes in your body than there are human cells. In fact,
Really?
absolutely
More microbes than human cells.
Exactly. Some research tells us that 90% of everything in your body are microbes. So if you're afraid of microbes, you're afraid of yourself. You have microbes in your blood, in your heart, in your lungs, in your skin, in your joints, in your muscles, in your brain. Everywhere there are microbes. Complex microbial communities. And the heart of it, the big government of this microbial community, is sitting in your digestive system. Why? Because that's where food goes, right? And if you ask any microbiologist in the world, what is the most powerful influence on a microbial community in nature? The answer immediately will be food. You change food supply to a microbial community in a petri dish in a laboratory, everything will change within hours. Certain species of microbes will disappear, other species will appear out of nowhere, and the whole microbial community will change. The only way to live with a microbial community or as a microbial community is to have balance and harmony. Every species of microbe must be present in that microbial community, but they all need to be in balance with each other. They all control each other. They all don't allow each other to get out of control, to over-multiply and start causing trouble. And only by having that balance and that harmony in your microbial community in your body, you can be healthy and well and enjoy your life and have vitality and plenty of energy. Trouble is, we human beings are very good at creating disharmony in nature, imbalances in nature. Every time you take something that kills microbes, antibiotics, agricultural chemicals, other medications, other chemicals in the environment, you kill a proportion of that microbial community. And as a result, the balance is gone. The harmony is gone. The other microbes that are left in there are not controlled anymore. So they overgrow, they multiply, they become too big, too numerous, and they start causing trouble. They turn from being benevolent members of a balanced community to pathogenic elements in your body and start causing disease. And remember, everything in your body, from head to toe, every tissue, every organ, is full of microbes, balanced microbial communities. And they all communicate with each other. They communicate on a quantum level, which means the communication is instant. So whatever happens in your digestive system, every morsel of food that you eat is received as information. It's received by that microbial community in your digestive system, and the information about that is communicated instantly in a quantum way with the whole microbial community everywhere. That is why, because food is the most powerful influence on any microbial community in nature, and your body is a microbial community, food is the most powerful influence on human health and disease.
Spot on. Yes.
Nothing can come close. Nothing can come even a fraction of the effect that food has on your health. And GAPS nutritional protocol is a diet. It's a GAPS diet. We change what we eat. And as a result, you change the microbial community in your body in such a way that balance is brought back. Harmony is brought back. All these imbalances are healed and repaired. And as a result, every chronic disease slowly melts away and disappears. No matter how far away from the digestive system the disease might have developed.
That's incredible. And there's the saying, gut feeling. It's like the gut is the second brain, because I used to suffer from anxiety problems. I changed my diet. Eased. Incredible. The change was just incredible.
Absolutely. In fact, many researchers are now saying that the gut is the first brain. This one's the second.
Really? But what gets me, I mean, you look at, all right, I'm going to do probably a bit of NHS bashing now, but when my late parents were in hospital, what did they have in the corridors? Junk food, machines that you could actually get junk food from, and fizzy pop drinks I won't say the names, these firms, which high carbohydrates, everything to make you ill. And the food that they were given were high carbohydrate, sickness food with artificial colours and things like that. Horrendous. And people are in hospital to get well. And they're eating rubbish, absolute rubbish. I couldn't believe it when I saw it there. These vending machines, loads of them selling this rubbish, and the patients being served rubbish, aeroplane food, plastic aeroplane food. That's all it was. But with this, I mean, I'm on a keto diet. I mean, is this very sort of similar to what you're saying? Because I lost 1.5 stone in 2 weeks when I went onto it, but I never felt so good. This keto diet.
No, GAPS diet is not necessarily ketogenic. It's a diet that is designed to heal and seal your gut wall, to rebuild its structure from healthy quality materials, and to restore the microbial community in your body back to balance and harmony. So for different situations, we adjust the diet for people. Some people have a little bit less carbohydrates, other people have a bit more. But the core of the diet, the core of it are animal foods, without doubt. Properly prepared animal foods. So because I have another book called Vegetarianism Explained, I've given it to one of my vegetarian neighbors around here when I've written it for the first time. So he read it and he said the name is wrong. He said, very interesting, but the name is wrong. He said it shouldn't be called Vegetarianism Explained. It should be called Vegetarianism Exterminated.
I used to be a vegetarian, and I changed. I became vegan once, but I was hungry all the time. I was starving. I don't think I've ever been so ill. Every cold I went down with, everything going around. And
this book explains why vegetarianism is not a good idea, and people should not be vegetarians. Unfortunately, the mainstream propaganda is the opposite, and many people succumb to it. So the reason why we have the center of the GAPS nutritional protocol are animal foods, meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, is because only animal foods feed the human body and build the physical structure we live in. Why? Because of the structure of the digestive system of a human being. In order to, when I was writing this book, and the reason for why I wrote that book was that I was meeting all these young people, lovely young people in my clinic, who absolutely destroyed their health through vegetarianism and veganism. They were perfectly healthy kids before they decided to become vegetarians. Absolutely destroyed themselves. Bipolar disorder, anorexia, anxiety, hallucinations, autoimmune illnesses, allergies, digestive system in absolutely terrible state. So, and that made me very interested in what's going on here. The first fact I've discovered is that there isn't one scientific study that I found that we could trust on the subject. They were all conducted and written by the pro-vegetarian lobby. They were paid for by corporations which benefit from making the whole planet vegetarian. So, having discovered that little fact, I started looking at the basic sciences, biochemistry, zoology, biology, and clinical experience, which I had plenty of myself, and my colleagues had plenty of. And the first fact I've discovered that was actually written and described in the 1930s, that the only creatures on our planet who can truly digest plant matter, plants on our planet, are microbes. Balanced microbial communities in nature. Mother Nature used this fact, this scientific fact, for creating a digestive system of a cow, or sheep, or goat, or any other herbivorous animal. Mother Nature gave them several enormous stomachs full of microbes. This group of stomachs is called a rumen in a cow. And it takes the bulk of the big belly of a cow, the rumen. It's enormous. It's absolutely huge. And it's chock full of microbes. So the cow doesn't digest the grass herself. This work is done for her by that microbial community in her rumen. She would chew a mouthful of grass, she'll send it into the room, and microbes will work on it. Then she'll regurgitate it, chew it again, then send it back. Apparently, every mouthful of grass is chewed 200 times by a cow.
Really?
That's why they constantly chew. You see, they're ruminating, these animals. Human beings don't have a rumen.
No.
We have a small stomach which produces hydrochloric acid. Very hostile environment for any microbe to survive in. A healthy human stomach is practically sterile. No microbes. Remember that scientific fact? Only microbes can digest plants. Nobody else on the planet can digest plants. Human stomach is full of acid. There are no microbes to digest plant matter, so plants are indigestible for a human stomach. But human stomach juice, hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and other elements are perfect for digesting meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, animal foods. Only these foods get properly digested in the human stomach, and then they pass into several meters of intestines where absorption of food happens. And of course, the only things we can absorb are things that we've digested properly. Whatever's not digested is not absorbed. So plants, when we eat them, plant matter, and that's grains, beans, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, the full spectrum, greenery, they sit in the stomach doing very little. They don't get digested to any large degree in the stomach. Then they go through the intestines where pancreatic juices work on them a little bit, So again, they don't digest that well there either. They don't contribute that much in there. And then they land in the bowel, in the large intestine, at the end of our digestive system, where the majority of the microbial community lives in the human being. Because the stomach is practically sterile, then large parts of intestines have very sparse microbial community, and the further away from the stomach we move, the more microbes there are start living in there. And only in the bowel, the majority of the microbial community lives. That's where the plant matter can be digested to a degree, and some nutrition can be contributed to us. But there is a big difference between a cow and a human being. In the cow, her rumen, full of microbes, is at the beginning of her digestive system, where plant matter is properly digested before it absorbs. In us human beings, our equivalent of a rumen, the majority of the microbes, are at the end of our digestive system. All the absorption already happened higher up. It's too late. So plants cannot feed the human being. They're incapable of it. They do not feed us. They contribute some vitamins, some minerals, some cofactors, some phytonutrients, juices. But the bulk of what your body is made of, the physical structure you live in, the bulk of it cannot be built by plant matter, from the plant matter. Because if you remove water out of a human body, the dry weight, what's left, is 50-50, about 50-50, protein and fat. This is what we made from. And when we analyze human protein and human fat in a laboratory, we find that in their biochemical structure, they're practically identical to proteins and fats we get out of meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. And these foods are properly digested in our human stomach with the hydrochloric acid. They're properly broken down, they absorb very well, and they build the physical structure we live in. Your muscles, your bones, your heart, your brain, your lungs, liver, and everything else in your body. And don't forget, human body renews itself all the time. Every cell in the human body has a short life, works hard, gets old, dies, gets removed, and a new baby cell is born to replace it. So that's how human body renews itself all the time and maintains itself and heals any damage. In order to give birth to trillions of baby cells every day, building materials are required.
Really?
Absolutely. You need to make those cells out of something.
You are explaining this so clear, and it really makes 100% sense. And what's getting me is they're pushing everybody into a vegetarian diet. I mean, you go into the supermarket now, and apparently soon you're going to have to eat crickets and insects and bugs and whatever.
Well, that is a very malicious move because crickets and bugs and insects have chitin skeleton. They don't have a skeleton inside their bodies. They have an exoskeleton, that shell of a beetle, the shiny, hard shell on the surface of the insect. It's made out of a substance called chitin. This substance is indigestible. Human digestive system cannot digest it. There are many cultures in the world who eat insects, but they chew the whole insect. So all the lovely soft substances from the inside of the insect, very rich in nutrition, that's animal food. That's another animal food, rich in vitamin A and protein and other lovely things. So they absorb, but the chitin shell of the insect, the human teeth cannot break down sufficiently. It just goes through you and leaves the body, through the bowel. And it doesn't do any harm. But what's happening now with the corporate industry, they nanonize this chitin shell of the insects. They break it down, all these powders made out of crickets and cockroaches and whatever else. The chitin shell, the exoskeleton of these insects, is chopped up into such tiny, tiny, tiny pieces that don't need digestion. They absorb themselves into the body, and it is an absolute poison for the human body. They will cause autoimmunity, they will cause cancer, they will cause all kinds of illnesses in the human body. They must not absorb. When a human being eats a whole cockroach, that's what some cultures do, that shell is not chewed properly. It doesn't absorb. It goes right through you.
Oh, I see now. Yes. It's almost, sorry, carry on, Patrick.
Any human being should avoid if they don't want to get seriously ill.
I have a question. You mentioned that there's a proper way to prepare food, and I think you were talking specifically about animal products. What would that proper way be, and what would the improper way be?
Well, there's recipe sections in my books, and there are lots of GAPS recipes online. I have, thousands of GAPS practitioners, and all of them have websites, and many of them have written books. So GAPS is a global phenomenon where we explain all of this. It's a big subject. The diet and the cooking of food is a big, big subject. But I'll come to that. But let me finish with the animal foods versus the plant matter. Only animal foods feed your body and build your physical structure that you live in. They're easy for the humans to digest. They have appropriate proteins and fats in them for us, very compatible, biocompatible with us. They're the best foods for us. They are the richest source of all the vitamins, all the necessary nutrients that we need to be full of energy, vitality, healthy, happy, no illnesses. Every traditional culture around the world knew this through experience. That is why they would put maximum effort into obtaining animal foods, into catching an animal, catching fish, collecting eggs, milking animals, domesticating animals, and milking animals. So animal foods need to be the core and the key of human nutrition for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Plants do not feed us. Plants have wrong proteins. The most researched protein in plant matter is gluten. And the more we research in gluten, the more we realize nobody can digest it. It damages everybody's body.
Really?
Absolutely damages everybody, even if a person doesn't realize it. Majority of people don't realize that their bread that they're eating, and pasta and other things made out of grains, out of flour and breakfast cereals, they don't realize the connection between eating those things and their migraines, or their arthritis, or their autoimmune illness, or their chronic cystitis, or athlete's foot, or tooth decay, or osteoporosis, or whatever else. The connection is very direct. Nobody can digest gluten. It damages everybody's body. And that's only one protein that we've researched to a degree. There are many, many other, hundreds of other proteins in plants that haven't even been researched yet. But we know that there is a whole group of proteins called anti-nutrients in plants now, which lectins, enzyme inhibitors, salicylates, tannins, phytates, phenols, all kinds of things. And they are specifically put by the plants into their seeds. Because a plant can't run away. Plant is rooted in one place, right? So they don't want to be eaten. They, in particular, don't want their babies to be eaten. Their seed is their babies. So plants equip their seeds with all these anti-nutrients, which will damage the body of an animal that would eat the seed. That is why my cows, I'm a farmer. I'm an organic regenerative farmer. I have cows, I have goats, I have animals on my farm. My cows would refuse to eat the grass when it's gone to seed. You know, they give
Really?
what you look and they point at the grass and they say, we're not eating that. Because
That's
they know
fantastic.
if they eat too much seed, they will hurt. You know, their digestive system will be hurt because of these anti-nutrients. And this is one group of proteins that receive quite a lot of attention and continues receiving attention. So eating seeds of plants in particular is dangerous. And what are grains? What is wheat? What is flour? That all things made from seeds. Exactly. What are beans, lentils, peas?
Seeds.
Nuts?
They're all
Seeds.
seeds.
They're all seeds. What is soya? Seed.
Yeah.
You know, people don't realize this. They do a lot of damage. A lot of chronic illnesses are caused by these things. So people in traditional societies have figured this out, and they developed methods of neutralizing these anti-nutrients and making plants a little bit more digestible, a little bit less damaging, and a little bit more feeding, nourishing. And the first method that they've used was fermentation and sprouting. When you sprout seeds, they start growing little shoots. Sprouting takes about a week to sprout the seed properly, you know. And when they grow that little shoot, a lot of these anti-nutrients are reduced and neutralized. And then you can mill it. And then you can ferment it and sour it properly. Only then you can turn that seed into something palatable and edible that will not damage the human body.
Gotcha.
That's what traditional societies did and continue doing around the world. But no, not the Western world, because all the recipes in the Western world are created by our food industry, which is only interested in profit.
You're spot on there. I mean, Envro 4000 has said, I understand that grape, melon and lemon seeds are good for us. Is that not the case? Because I chew on lemon seeds, because I have lemons.
The antimicrobial. Here we come to the real purpose of eating plants. Why do we eat plants at all if they don't feed us? And indeed, we have now a whole carnivore movement in the world. And in my blue book, I describe a no plant GAPS diet, where people eat no plants for a period of time at all. They live entirely on animal foods. And which shows, you know, these movements and people who stay on the no plant GAPS diet shows that human beings can live perfectly well without eating plants at all. We don't need, strictly speaking, we don't need to eat them. And the more the digestive system of a human being is damaged, the less they can tolerate plant matter. The less plants they should eat, and the more they should rely on the animal foods. The less the digestive system is damaged, and people with a very strong digestive system can eat plenty of plants, and they'll be all right. But plants don't feed us to any degree. Why do we eat them at all then? Because they cleanse us. They have all sorts of substances that keep us clean on the inside. They detoxify, they cleanse, and they feed the microbial community in the bowel, in the large intestine of a human being. So that's their purpose. But I say again, I'd like to repeat this, the more the digestive system is damaged, if a person has ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, any other serious digestive disorder, then plants are dangerous. You need to really cut down seriously on plant matter and focus largely on the animal foods. And I've learned this fact initially about 15 years ago when I was contacted by a group of mothers from USA who had babies with a new diagnosis called FPIES. These were a few weeks old FPIES, yes, food-induced protein enterocolits syndrome. You know, these were a few weeks old babies, exclusively breastfed, vomiting diarrhea. The child is losing weight. The child is not growing and not developing. Babies at that age are supposed to gain weight every day as they develop. These babies were losing weight. And doctors do testing, find that the child is allergic to all protein on the planet, which immediately told me that their gut wall is so damaged. Big holes develop in the gut wall of these babies. The gut wall becomes porous and leaky in these children. Proteins absorb undigested and cause all kinds of havoc in the body, all kinds of symptoms in the body. And
Yes.
so these mothers were told to stop breastfeeding, and children were put on a soya formula, broken down into amino acids, single amino acids, and they were told that the child must never have any protein, that they can only have some boiled carrots or something like
Good
that.
heavens.
And if these children follow the mainstream treatments, they develop profound physical and mental disabilities, and many don't survive. So I immediately knew that these babies have such a damaged digestive system that they cannot tolerate much plant matter. So we started from the form of GAPS diet, which I call introduction diet, the GAPS introduction diet, which has 6 stages in it, where we start from the easiest to digest and the most healing foods. And gradually we introduce more difficult to digest foods. That's how we heal the digestive system. So I put these babies on the first stage, the most limited and the most healing stage of that particular diet. It wasn't enough. So the next logical step was to remove all plants entirely. So these babies started living on meat stock made at home, gelatinous meat stock, which we make with joints and bones and with ligaments and fascia of the animal. So meat stock, fermented milk, and that was made with kefir culture. Kefir is the most powerful culture, 24-hour fermented milk at home, raw milk, with raw egg yolks and fish stock. So that's what we started with. And as we started staying on this no plant GAPS diet, where not a leaf, not a speck out of a plant kingdom is consumed, diarrhea stopped, vomiting stopped, the child started gaining weight, the child started developing. Then I worked with these children for a long time, and I'm still in touch with quite a few of those families. That was 15, 16 years ago that we started. Beautiful children, no disabilities, no problems. They all recovered. But what we found difficult is to introduce any plant matter into his diet. It took us 5, 6, 7 years with some children to introduce the tiniest amount of courgette or onion into their meals. They continued living on meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, entirely on animal foods. So these children have demonstrated to me without a shadow of doubt that human beings can live perfectly well without eating plants at all. Strictly speaking, we do not need to eat plant matter. We don't need 5 a day, or 7 a day, or 15 a day, or whatever the latest figures is from the government. We don't need any of that, because plants don't feed us. Animal foods feed us. Plants, of course, are nice to consume. Of course, if your digestive system is strong enough to tolerate them, why not? They give us colors, flavors, fun, and they're delicious. And there are many, they give variety to the diet. So it's nice to have them. But the more the digestive system is damaged of a human being, the less they're capable of tolerating plant matter, the more they need to focus on animal foods. And here I can start answering the question from Patrick. How do we cook food? Absolute staple in the GAPS diet is meat stock, not bone broth, meat stock. Or we give a clear distinction between meat stock and bone broth. Meat stock we make with a chunk of animal where nothing's removed. There is a bone, there is bone marrow, there is a joint, there is some muscle on it. If it's a pork, there is skin. If it's a poultry, if it's a chicken or a turkey or another bird, then the skin must be there. And the organs, the giblets, are very valuable for us. And once you put that chunk of animal into a pan, you add salt, pepper, you cover it with water, and you cook it for a few hours until the meats become soft and they fall off the bone. the liquid that results from it, called meat stock, and this stock will keep in the fridge for a long time, and in the fridge, when it cools down, it turns into a jelly, quite often almost solid jelly. Why? Because it's rich in collagen. That's what we want. That is the number one purpose why we make this meat stock, collagen. Why? Because collagen is the most ubiquitous protein in the human body. About a third of all protein in your body is collagen. It's elastic fibers. It's made out of elastic fibers which interweave with each other like that. They hold your body together. They create the microscopic skeleton of every tissue and every organ in your body, along which cells and microbial communities congregate and create their structure. Problem is, collagen is a magnet for toxicity. Practically every toxin that absorbs from your digestive system comes from food or drink, or from the outside, or from your personal care products, or cleaning chemicals in the house, or dishwasher detergent, or laundry detergent, or whatever. Majority of these chemicals, when they absorb into the human body through your digestive system, through your lungs if you're breathing them, through your skin, they attach themselves to molecules of collagen in the body. And that because molecules of collagen, they have certain amino acids in them, which are magnets for these toxic substances. They grab hold of them. And that changes the three-dimensional structure of that molecule of collagen. Your immune system constantly goes around the body surveying everything. It finds these changed collagen molecules, looks at them and says, I don't recognize you. You look strange to me. And the first thing the immune system would do to clean up that dirty molecule of collagen, it would use inflammation. Inflammation is a wonderful tool of our immune system, which is ready to go. It's on the shelf, switched on, we just grab hold and use it. And the inflammation will remove that toxin off the molecule of collagen and leave that collagen nice and clean, like new. But inflammation is uncomfortable. It gives you pain. You know, when your joint is inflamed, it's swollen, it's red, it's hot, and it doesn't work. It limits the function. That's what inflammation is. And unfortunately, as soon as people get this group of symptoms, they run to the doctors, or they go to the pharmacy and they get anti-inflammatory drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they kill inflammation. They don't allow the immune system to use that tool. If that happens, then the immune system has to move to the next tool, which is called autoimmunity, where it will study carefully that changed molecule of collagen, contaminated, dirty molecule of collagen, and create specific cells, antibodies, which will destroy that molecule and remove it. So you start losing collagen. And if this toxin keeps coming into your body because you're not aware of what's going on, you continue using the same shampoo, the same makeup, the same laundry detergent, the same dishwasher detergent, eating the same food, drinking the same water, putting the same toxins into your body. So that autoimmunity will continue destroying your collagen. You start losing collagen. This situation is happening practically in everybody in the Western world because we live in a very toxic environment, full of man-made.
Yes, you're right on there. Yes.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Enviro 4000 said, is pork deemed as good meat? As I have seen a few articles that have described pork as not good for human consumption, but lamb, beef, and chicken are good. That's a very interesting one. What's
Pork
your
is
view?
wonderful. Pork is wonderful. But there is pork and pork, of course, you know. Pigs need to be proper breeds. They need to grow up in the forest. They need to eat clean food, the pigs. And there is something about pork that requires treatment with salt before human beings consume it. There isn't enough research on this subject, but there have been some interesting research conducted by Weston A. Price Foundation, where they had two groups of volunteers and they did live blood analysis. And what they found that when people eat fresh pork without marinating the pork first with salt, then the blood changes in an unhealthy way. But if you first marinate pork with salt, the way people traditionally made salami and ham and sausages and bacon. The pork is treated with salt initially. The structure of the pork changes in such way, and that negative effect disappears. Koreans would not eat any meat without marinating it first, for at least a couple of hours, with salt. The same with other Asian cultures. And practically the whole Asia, the only meat that they had was pork. Perfectly healthy nations for thousands of years, possibly longer. So pork, there's nothing wrong with pork. It's just religious conditioning and cultural conditioning from various parts of the world. But pork needs to be treated with salt. That is why I would not recommend just cooking fresh pork. It needs to be marinated. Put it in a salty solution, in a salty brine for a few hours before roasting, if you're doing a big roast. Just soak the whole thing in salty brine, or pack it with fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, fermented carrot, fermented beetroot, or fermented any other vegetables, and leave it overnight to be treated like that with the enzymes and the salt. And the pork will lose those negative effects on the human body. And it's delicious and everybody loves it.
Oh, yeah, especially bacon. But what I do with the supermarket, I actually, it's so salty that you get from the supermarket that I actually soak the bacon in water overnight to get the salt out of it. So I suppose because it gives me a raging thirst otherwise.
Absolutely. It's not the salt so much that you're soaking out. That's a good idea what you're doing. It's very good. But it's nitrates.
Yes.
And nitrites. And the salt has been processed. It's not the real salt.
Oh,
that's another big issue, Natural salt that Mother Nature provided us with, salt from the mines and the natural sea salt, has 92 minerals and trace elements in it. In fact, its composition and the proportions of all those minerals is exactly the same as in the human blood and in all our tissue liquids. We need that salt. It's very good for us when we eat it in a natural form. But what's happening in the world is that they mine this salt and then they process it to remove everything apart from sodium chloride.
That's right. Yeah.
Why they do it? Because majority, more than 90% of all salt consumption in the world goes to chemical industry to produce plastics and salts and various detergents and various other things. And they require pure sodium chloride. So they process natural salt. Majority of that sodium chloride goes to that industry, and what's left goes into the supermarkets for human consumption. And that is processed, that is not natural anymore. That comes into the body as a villain. It causes a lot of trouble in the human body. And unfortunately, all processed foods that our food industry produces for us use that kind of salt. So,
unfortunately, yes, that's the trouble.
That's right. It's very easy to make your own bacon at home. Really? Absolutely. Just easy peasy. All you do, get a big slab of belly pork from your butcher, cover it with salt, lay a cotton cloth on the table, just old cotton cloth, cover it with a centimeter of salt, then lay that slab on it, put more salt on every side of that piece, wrap it up like a baby in that cloth, and leave it in your fridge for a couple of days. And then shake the salt off, and your bacon's done.
Wow.
If you want it drier, you can hang it somewhere at room temperature in your house for a couple of days so that it loses some moisture. If you want it dry, and then slice it, and that's it, and cook it.
That's interesting. Trouble is, there's no butchers left around where I live. It's all supermarkets. I've got to drive 12 miles to the nearest butcher. There's no they've all gone.
We need to support our butchers and family shops. Yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, I often have Mark, the bowler hat farmer, on here. I don't know if you're aware of him, and he's trying to start a thing where farms sell directly to the public and not via the supermarket, so we can get good, pure food. But one thing, slightly change the subject. I'd like to put your website, if that's okay, along the bottom of the screen. And,
absolutely. It's drnatasha.com.
Just one moment, because somebody forgot to put it on. It must have been the vegetables I was eating, so we'll put it down to that. So it's Dr.
It's drnatasha.com.
natasha.com. And I'll put that all in lowercase.
It's all in lowercase.
Right, here we go. Right, now put that along the bottom. And let's create the banner. And is this correct?
That's right.
Excellent. I will leave that there. So that's where you need to go to find out a lot more. And it's absolutely fascinating what you're telling. I mean, I'm just wow. I mean, about plants. I mean, there's a lot about the poisons of plants and things like that. Didn't realise it's
Plants
quite
need to be
amazing.
properly prepared to reduce the damaging effects on the human body. And fermentation, sprouting, cooking reduces the cleansing ability of the plant, but makes it a little bit more feeding, a little bit less damaging for the digestive system, cooking. So we need to be careful with plants. And again, the more your digestive system is damaged, the less you can eat plants. The more you need to rely and follow the GAPS introduction diet in my books, which will heal your digestive system, so that eventually you can eat much wider variety of foods, much wider variety of plants without any damage.
Also, I mean, your books, I mean, they're lifesavers. Really, in many ways, are a lifesaver. I mean, I know, I don't call it diet, though. I call it change of lifestyle. Because if you say to diet, I mean, it's a thing with words. You say diet, oh, that means I've got to go without food. I've got to be hungry. No. You change your lifestyle. And I think that is the main thing. But when you look around and you see how so many people are obese and very unhealthy, and you walk into a supermarket and it's just an array of sickly carbohydrates everywhere, which are addictive.
Yeah.
And wherever you look, there's carbohydrates. But what's your feeling about fruit? Because there's been a lot on about fruit. Now, was it Steve Jobs was a fruitarian? He's no longer with us. And the old fruit, apparently, like apples used to be very small and you had to cook them because they were too sour. And bananas used to have huge seeds in them and things like that. And the modern hybrids of fruit apparently are supposed to be bad. What's your views on fruit?
Absolutely. Majority of fruit that is sold in supermarkets are not provided to us by Mother Nature. Natural apples, as you say, are small and don't taste very good. All the apples that we have, that we consume, have been selected by humanity over hundreds of years. So they were created by humanity, these big, sweet, juicy apples. And that applies to many other fruits in the world. Fruit is high in sugars, high in fiber. They feed fungi. You know, the main microbes that jump on fruit when you eat fruit in your digestive system are fungi. Fungi are the basis of every microbial community in nature. Your body has huge number of various fungal communities. You know, it's a basis of the microbial community that your body is, basically. But they must be in balance with bacteria, viruses, protozoa, archaea, and all sorts of other creatures in the digestive system. Trouble is, people take antibiotics. And the number one antibiotic that everybody nowadays is eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is glyphosate.
Oh, yes.
The active ingredient in Roundup herbicide, you know. And it's the most poisonous thing in the world. You know, there's a fantastic book written by Stephanie Seneff about glyphosate. I would recommend to anybody who wants to learn about all the damaging effects of this chemical. This is the number one agricultural chemical that practically every plant in a supermarket is soaked in, because it's used several times during the growing season, and then it's used last thing before harvesting, because it desiccates the plant. It makes the plant dry and easy to harvest, particularly if the weather is rainy. You know, so all the things made out of flour, wheat, barley, rye, you know, anything with sugar. Sugar is sprayed right before harvesting. You know, any bean, any oily seeds, so all vegetable oils are absolutely full of this glyphosate. So with every piece of bread, you're eating glyphosate. It's a broad spectrum antibiotic. When it was first patented, it was patented as a broad spectrum antibiotic. It kills large percent of various bacteria in your digestive system. These bacteria are eating and controlling fungi. So if bacteria are killed, fungi are left uncontrolled. They grow, they proliferate. The whole Western world, children and adults now, are in a fungal stage. They all have overgrowth of fungi. That is why so many people in our society can't eat fruit. They just feel unwell when they eat fruit. The sugars and the fiber and the juices in the fruit immediately create this fungal feast inside your digestive system. And what do fungi do? They produce gases. So you get bloated. You get gas, in your digestive system, which causes cramps and abdominal pain and all sorts of uncomfortable things. And the second thing that they do, they convert these sugars in fruit into alcohol. You become drunk. You haven't drunk alcohol, but you become drunk because alcohol is manufactured in your own digestive system. So if you have a child, no matter how young, 2, 3, 5-year-old, who's eaten a piece of fruit, and suddenly you're scraping him off the wall, he's hyperactive, he's crying, he's uncontrollable, he can't focus, he's running around, he's drunk. He can't eat fruit, he's got fungal overgrowth in his digestive system. And every time he eats a satsuma or a piece of apple or something like that, he becomes drunk. He behaves like a drunk person.
I didn't know that.
And when this alcohol, this is called the Otto Brewery syndrome, which was discovered quite a long time ago now, about 40 years ago in Japan first. Japanese have a wonderful culture. Their corporations are like a family to all the employees. Once you join a corporation, you're in there for the rest of your life. And they look after people. And they've noticed that some of their employees were coming to work drunk, behaving drunk, and there's a smell from them. And they swore absolutely that I didn't drink. And they trust people, so they've sent them to doctors. And doctors did a lot of testing, and they found that they have a fungal overgrowth in their stomach and upper digestive system, which ferments rice, bread, and any other carbohydrate into alcohol. So these people don't need to consume alcohol to be drunk. The alcohol is manufactured right there. This was described as Otto Brewery syndrome. We have a lot of research on this subject now.
Really? I never knew that. That's fascinating. It answers a lot of questions. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you just then, but it answers a lot of questions. A heck of a lot of questions.
Behavior in adults changes when they eat carbohydrates, when they eat bread, breakfast cereals, sugar, fruit, anything that has simple sugars and simple carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates in particular, their behavior changes. They're drunk, these people. And when alcohol is produced like that, as soon as it hits the liver converts it into a very poisonous, horrible chemical called acetaldehyde. That's a chemical that gives us the hangover. When you feel awful, nauseous, headachy, achy, just, a lot of our autistic children, hyperactive children never have any other feeling. They feel like that all the time. That's why they bang their heads. That's why they self-stimulate, self-harm, and do all sorts of other strange behaviors, because they're just in pain. They feel awful, these people, these children. And many adults feel that way, when they've eaten bread, initially there's alcohol, so they're drunk, so they're a bit jolly and happy for a while. But then acetaldehyde kicks in and the person feels bad. And they become unpleasant and might be aggressive even.
So people with a headache and your chronic migraines and that sort of thing, it would be good for them to cut back on carbohydrates and that sort of.
Absolutely. No fruit, no grains, no flour, no sugar.
So wheat and sorry, please carry on, Patrick. Sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to ask about honey. I know in Bashkiria that they're famous for honey and that sort of thing. And what's your experience with honey as a sugar?
As a quick sugar, honey will produce the same reaction. It will. Okay. But we want honey that comes from real beehives. There are two kinds of beekeeping. And as I told you, that I'm an organic regenerative farmer, and I have beehives as well on my farm as everything else. We practice natural beekeeping. There is the conventional beekeeping and there is the natural beekeeping. The conventional beekeeping is all about honey and money. They use practices and chemicals and all kinds of things which damage the bees. In fact, conventional beekeeping is a major cause of bee collapse disorder in the world. They destroy bees because of honey and money. So the honey that they produce is everything is removed out of it. It's just pure sugar, basically. It's this clear. And unfortunately, there's now the industry standard that has been introduced a few years ago, which the government's approved, when they're allowed to add high fructose corn syrup into the honey without labeling.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That is
it's
unbelievable.
highly toxic stuff, for high fructose corn syrup. Highly toxic. And practically all honeys in supermarkets, sold in supermarkets, have this concoction.
I try and avoid.
It's
I
the
mean, I don't
industry.
eat bread. Sorry, but I mean, I don't eat bread and I don't have sugar. I try and avoid it. But Mark Anthony has an interesting question here. It says, what is Dr. Natasha's opinion on sourdough bread?
Let me finish with honey, then.
Okay, I'm terribly
So
sorry.
the real natural beekeeping respects the bee, respects the way that it considers the bees to be full of wisdom. They know how to look after themselves. And it's practically do nothing beekeeping. Anybody could have a beehive in their back garden, practicing natural beekeeping. So if you Google natural beekeeping, you will find Warey hives and some other hives. Yeah, I use Warey hive. This was designed by a French abbot in the 1940s, Abbé Warey. Wonderful hive, absolutely wonderful, which respects the bee. The honey that we get from it is not pure sugar. It has pollen, it's rich in pollen, and it's rich in propolis, and it's rich in all kinds of things. It's got a completely different taste, and it's not as sweet as the honey from the mainstream that you will buy. That honey is healing. It's anti-inflammatory, it's anti-cancer, it heals the digestive system, and it kills fungi. It suppresses the fungal
Oh,
growth. Exactly, because it has real propolis in it. And it has real pollen in it. It has everything the bees provide in that honey.
wow.
So that's the kind of honey you want to look for. You want to find the proper beekeeper who keeps honey the natural way, not the conventional way. You want to buy directly from this person. Never buy honey in supermarkets. Never. You want to find beekeepers like that, and you want to buy honey directly from these people. Only then you will get the real honey that Mother Nature intended for us. And that kind of honey will not feed fungi and will not be converted into alcohol. It will suppress fungi in your digestive system.
This is
Okay.
incredible. Now, so I'm sorry I jumped the gun a little earlier. Sourdough bread, that was it. This is
Sourdough
Mark
bread.
Anthony.
Sourdough bread.
What is Dr. Natasha's opinion of sourdough bread? Here we go.
Sourdough bread has been developed by thousands of years of traditional cultures who learned that you have to subject grains to proper fermentation before you put it into your mouth. Because grains are full of anti-nutrients, full of damaging chemicals, which can damage your body, damage your digestive system, just really cause a lot of havoc in your body. So what people have done, they had this sourdough starter, which is bacterial culture. It's not yeast. It's got yeasts in it as well. It's actually a balanced microbial community, but there are bacteria there as well. And to create a proper sourdough starter, you need about a week. It's a tedious, sort of careful process where you create it over, adding things every day to it. So when you ferment flour using a sourdough starter, the flour gets pre-digested to a degree. And then if you want to make that pastry fluffier, lighter for you, then you can add yeast in the last stages of fermentation before you actually bake the loaf to make those holes inside. So if your digestive system is strong and robust and you don't have a digestive disorder, then you can get away with eating that kind of bread. particularly if you made it at home and you soured it properly. Because a lot of what's sold as sourdough in shops is not really done properly. It's just another, cutting corners, another commercial product. So make it at home yourself and see how you do. And there are many people in whom, if the digestive system is functioning well, if it's not very damaged, then people can eat it and they can benefit from it and they can get away with it. But if the digestive system is damaged, and the more it is damaged, the less people are capable of digesting grains in any shape or form, no matter what you do with them. No matter how you try to prepare them, sour them, ferment them, sprout them, you will still get symptoms and you will still suffer. So for those people, I recommend going through the introduction diet, the GAPS introduction diet, slowly, patiently, consistently, 6 stages, where we start with the easiest to digest foods, which heal, and the most healing foods for the digestive system. What they will do, they will build a new gut wall for you, made out of quality materials. In majority of people in the world, their gut wall is so damaged, it's porous and leaky. It has holes in it. So food doesn't get a chance to be digested properly before it absorbs. It absorbs undigested. And then, of course, the immune system finds these bits of food in your blood, your lymph, looks at them and says, well, what's this? And reacts to them. And that then manifests with hundreds of symptoms of food allergy and intolerance. Can be any symptom under the sun. Can be a panic attack, can be an asthma attack, can be skin rash, can be atrial fibrillation, heart palpitations, can be anything, anxiety, can be autoimmune illness, can be anything at all. Because your gut lining is like a sieve. Food is absorbing and digested. In order to get rid of that situation, you need to heal and seal your gut lining, close all those holes, so the food starts digesting properly before it absorbs. That is what the GAPS introduction diet is designed for. Particularly the first and the second stages of it. They will build new shiny gut wall for you without any holes. So food starts digesting properly before it absorbs. There are thousands upon thousands of people around the world who recovered from food allergies and intolerances going through that diet. The GAPS introduction. I don't know of any other approach in the world that can do that for you.
Fantastic.
That has a great record, because GAPS has been around for more than 20 years. And it's a global phenomenon. It has a long record of great effect in healing every chronic disease. So that's what needs to be done for people. If you follow through with the GAPS introduction diet, you will heal your digestive system. You will build a new gut wall for yourself. All kinds of chronic illnesses will start melting away and disappearing in your body. And then eventually you can achieve a point in your life when you can eat sourdough bread. You can even occasionally have a croissant or mainstream bread, and you'll get away with it because you've healed your digestive system.
But you probably won't want it. But there was a chap, Dr. Grundy, on YouTube, and he was saying that if you have wholemeal bread and wholemeal rice, it actually tears the inside of your gut lining.
Yes, because it's full of anti-nutrients. This bran that the mainstream recommends to people.
All bran, yes.
The most malicious advice in the world, because the kind of fiber that grains have is completely incompatible with the human body. You're eating concentrated anti-nutrients, concentrated lectins, phthalates, salicylates, enzyme inhibitors, cyanogenic glycosides, and all sorts of horrible things, which will tear apart your connective tissue. And your body is made out of connective tissue. Your joints, your bones, and the skeleton of your bones, the skeleton of your muscles, the capsule of every organ, the stroma of every organ. Everything that holds your body together is connective tissue. And this bran from grains will just tear all that apart. It'll contaminate all the collagen in there and cause the immune system to destroy your collagen. And when your collagen is being destroyed in the body, the very structure of your body becomes loose and weak. So you can have organ prolapse, you can have hernias, your joints become hypermobile. So you start stumbling on a perfectly level floor and hurting yourself, and double jointed, flat feet. You start
I've got
bruising.
flat feet.
There we go.
Wow.
So you were a vegan and vegetarian, and there is no collagen, and
No, well, I had it from childhood. I was born with it.
you were born with it. There you go.
Yeah.
So people start bruising easily when their collagen is in trouble in the body, because your blood vessels are made out of collagen largely. They become weak and they burst easily and get damaged easily. You've lifted the chair, moved the chair, and you got a bruise. And think, my goodness, what have I done? Because
That's incredible.
your blood vessels are weak, because your collagen is in trouble in the body. You're losing collagen. That is why in the GAPS nutritional protocol, a bowl of soup every day. The more meat stock rich in collagen you consume per day, the more collagen you pile into your body to replenish and restore all that lost collagen. It's an absolute baseline. That is why we want the cheap bits from the butcher. We want all the bones and joints and neck and spine and feet, and lower parts of the leg of the animal and the heads of the animal and the skin of the pork, and carcasses of chickens and turkeys. And then you make this fantastic meat stock, and that is the basis of the GAPS nutritional protocol, GAPS diet.
I've heard that eating too much meat will lead to gout. Is that an issue to be concerned about? And do elderly people have a need for a different diet than younger people?
Gout is caused by, it's a GAPS condition. You have certain microbes living in your digestive system, which produces toxins, which produces chemicals, these microbes. These chemicals absorb, get into the liver, and block the uric acid cycle, the biochemical process which processes uric acid. And as a result, the uric acid turns into these crystals, which fall out usually in the joints of the person, and the nasty crystals which cause inflammation. That is the cause of gout, abnormal gut flora. Certain microbes that are overgrowing in your gut. It's not protein. The protein has nothing to do with it, and the meat has nothing to do with it. When you get that situation, in order for these crystals to be removed out of your thumb or your toe, any other joints that got affected, you have to fast. You just drink water and nothing else. You have to fast until the inflammation subsides and you get a little bit better. But long term, you need to change your gut flora. And that's what GAPS diet will do for you. It'll get rid of your gout permanently, long term, without any medications, because it will change your gut flora and take those microbes under control. So they stop producing their toxins and stop causing trouble with your uric acid cycle. That's what gout is. But coming to meat, you see, when you say the word meat in the Western world, people see lean steak, just pure muscle, with no fat in it, with nothing, just pure muscle. That is a very unhealthy thing to do. Every traditional culture considered eating pure lean muscle a very unhealthy habit. Nobody would eat it that way. A proper piece of meat will provide fat and collagen and ligaments and blood vessels and nerve fibers and all kinds of things. And all of that needs to be consumed. Why? Because in order for the body to process lean protein from a lean muscle, it requires a lot of vitamin A and saturated fats and cholesterol, things which you can only get out of fat of the animal. That is why, when people eat lean muscle, they drain vitamin A out of their body, and then their immune system collapses. Nothing can function in the human body without vitamin A. It's a hormone. It's a very vital substance, and it only comes from fats. So for every mouthful of muscle of the animal that you're chewing, you must chew an equal size lump of fat with it to provide vitamin A.
Very, very, very interesting. I've heard people, excuse me, one moment. I've heard people say that eating rabbit can actually cause people to, deprive themselves of energy in a stressful situation. What's your take on rabbit meat? Is that more of a
Rabbit is very lean.
yes?
It's a very, very lean meat, and it drains vitamin A out of your body. It empties your liver, which holds a lot of vitamin A and other tissues as well. So you become vitamin A deficient. And once you become vitamin A deficient, you can lose your eyesight, your immune system collapses, you start getting infections, your skin becomes dry and itchy, and all kinds of other, and nervous system suffers. You can get nervous symptoms. And indeed, these sort of things happen to some Europeans who were traveling in the 1700s and 1800s. There are some accounts of these episodes, who were traveling west across the American continent and found no other meat, no other food, could not catch any, just lived on rabbits, and they got very sick, very ill. And when they came to the Indian villages of the local Native American villages, they fed them fat, they fed them pemmican, they fed them fat, and these people recovered in a matter of 2-3 days. As soon as they replenished their vitamin A reserves in the body sorted everything out. That is why nobody should live on a lean steak, on a lean muscle. In fact, in any traditional culture, when you say the word meat for them, they don't see muscle of the animal. They see the whole animal. And the most lovely morsels and the most lovely, delicious things are the fatty bits and the bits with collagen and the skin and the organs. Organs of any animal are much richer in nutrition than the muscle of the animal. And unfortunately, the Western culture has lost their cuisine and the sort of all the dishes that people used to eat with the organs. Liver is almost 100 times richer in vitamin B12 and B6 and other B vitamins.
A lot of liver. Yeah, I eat a lot of liver. But Alvin Court said, are nettles, dandelion, and many weeds all medicinal? So that's an interesting one from Alvin Court. So
okay. Well, let's finish with the organs. So.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead again. Slap wrist. Sorry about that.
The organs are very important for all of us to eat. They are much more valuable than the piece of muscle of the animal. Whatever organ in the organs of animals, from biochemical point of view, are made from the same materials your organs are made from. So if you have a problem with your kidneys, eat kidneys from healthy animals. Lamb kidneys, pork kidneys, beef kidneys. You'll provide the right building materials for your kidneys to rebuild themselves, to recover. If you've got a lung problem, eat lungs. If you have a heart problem, eat heart. If you have a brain problem, eat brains. That is the most direct and the most natural thing to do. I've had so many patients who would get a pneumonia, one antibiotic, another, and he's still ill, and the pneumonia is still not clearing. The whole winter the person is suffering. Sometimes a year he's still coughing, this person. 1 or 2 meals made from lungs, from beef, the cough disappears.
That's logical.
That is logical.
Absolutely. You've given the right building materials for your lungs to rebuild themselves. They'll just suck it up very quickly. They build themselves and pneumonia will be gone. So organs are vital for us to eat. So if you do it on a regular basis, you prevent any problems in your organs developing.
I know somebody that's got stage 4 kidney disease. So I suppose eating kidneys would help a lot to rebuild this poor soul's kidneys.
Absolutely. Kidney disease, nephropathy, particularly when a person has kidney failure, it's always gaps. Your gut lining is porous and leaky. It's like a sieve. Foods absorb undigested. All kinds of toxins absorb as well. And then your kidneys are filters. They try to filter all that out of the body, and the filter gets blocked. And once it's blocked, once these things, block the filter, then the immune system comes in, causes inflammation to clean it up, because inflammation is a major cleanser in the body. Never should be suppressed, inflammation. It cleanses the kidney, and then the autoimmunity will join in as well. So that's how kidney gets damaged, and the person finishes up with kidney failure, or stage 4 or stage 3 kidney damage. So, and then they finish up with dialysis or whatever. I had patients who reversed any kind of damage in kidney and came off dialysis. The kidney started working naturally, and they didn't need dialysis anymore. The mainstream medicine will tell you that once you're on dialysis, that's it. You have to be on it for the rest of your life, because they don't know any different. They don't have a solution.
I think
While
that
the GAPS nutritional protocol has the solution for them. Read my blue book.
I think that the elderly people, they typically are on a lot of pills and medicinal, type things. And I know that Elvon Kurt was asking about herbs and that sort of thing too, which are
that's
like
right,
a less purified form than
Nettles,
the medicines that
dandelions.
people take straight. What are your concerns about elderly people's diets? The older people, it's possible to reverse those things, it sounds like, from what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. Old age is not a disease. We're supposed to be healthy at any age, all the way to the last breath. That's how we designed. This is our birthright, to be healthy, to be well. Yes, you slow down as you age, of course, and you should slow down, because you need to be more pensive, you need to be more spiritual when you get older. They need to think a bit more, gain wisdom and share wisdom rather than run around too much when we're young, So, but you're not supposed to be ill. You're supposed to be healthy. So if you are getting ill as you age, you're doing something wrong. You're damaging your body. And typically that is toast with jam, and toast and margarine, and breakfast cereals, and skimmed milk, and all these sandwiches and baguettes and whatever else. Change your diet. I'll tell you one case study of an 87-year-old lady, recent, who had angina, attacks, and high blood pressure. She was practically having angina attacks every day. It was unstable angina, And we put her on the GAPS diet, on the full GAPS diet. We removed bread and sugar and all of those things. Blood pressure normalized, angina attacks stopped. Even her arthritis is improving. She's now been on this diet for a year and a half. She's so healthy, she's so strong. She's got a large garden that she's looking after on her own. She's got chickens she looks after on her own. She cleans her house on herself. She cooks for herself on her own. She has no carers. 87-year-old woman.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And
absolutely not bad at all. Not bad at all. So at any age, the person can recover, and she takes no pharmaceuticals. Please understand, pharmaceuticals are poisons.
They are oil-based as well, I believe.
Absolutely. We need to be very careful with them. Yes, there is a place for them in certain situations when there is a danger to your life and death situations. When the right pharmaceutical used at the right moment can save your life. But taking them on a chronic basis is not a good idea for anybody, ever. Of course, pharmaceutical industry wants us to do that because that's how it makes its profit. It's a business. For them, it's a perfectly good business model. But for us,
that's right.
We need to think about ourselves, not about their business model. So when people just go to the doctors and start taking these pills, handfuls of them, they need to stop and think what they're doing.
I agree with you. And I've noticed, I mean, not that far from where I live, there's a doctor's surgery opposite a chemist shop, and you see them walking across the road from the doctor's surgery into the chemist shop, then coming out with their little NHS goodie bags as if they'd just been to a sort of fast food restaurant. And there's huge queues in there. Now, if these pills and potions that these, I don't call them doctors, but quacks, were issuing were any good, why do they need a repeat prescription? I mean, surely, you'd take it, you'd be fit, you'd be cured. Why do you need repeat prescriptions, which go on for years? And around where I live, you see them coming back with their goodie bags, their pills and potions and things.
Well, that's the pharmaceutical industry's business model. You see, they don't want people to get better. They want to put a person on a pill that they will take for the rest of their lives. Then profit comes from that person for the rest of that person's life.
That's how you get hooked on them.
It's a business model.
That's why they don't talk about diet.
Yeah, I call it the magic roundabout, because once you're on it, you can't get off it.
a lot of these drugs are addictive. It's difficult to come
Yeah.
off them. But if you go on the GAPS nutritional protocol, if you change what you eat, change your lifestyle, you'll be surprised what you can come off. You can be, an elderly person should not be taking any pills at all. They should eat liver and eggs for breakfast. Liver is very important for an elderly person to eat. Every day, a little bit of
Really?
liver. Yes, fried liver with onions or garlic, just fried in animal fat. Never use vegetable oils. Vegetable oils are a poison. They cause every disease in the world. Nobody should cook on vegetable oils. Cook on pork fat, lamb fat, beef fat, goose fat, duck fat, butter, or ghee, clarified butter.
What about pressure cooking in water? I actually pressure cook my meat. I put it in pressure cooker.
I'm not sure about pressure cooking because it's not natural. It destroys food to a certain degree, and I would never recommend microwaves. If you have
I haven't got a microwave. No,
throw it away.
No,
Throw it
I
away.
haven't got a microwave. I hate microwaves. I try and avoid it as much as possible. If I do have something that's microwaved, I can taste the difference.
Absolutely.
It's just-
Microwaves
it's-
destroy the
Yeah.
biophysical structure of food on the most fundamental level, turning it into cancer-causing, cancerogenic.
Now, we've got Daisy here. We've got a vegetarian here. It says, we are vegetarian, healthy and rarely unwell. Eat rich greens, organic where we can. So there's Daisy
Please
saying
read my
that.
vegetarian book. You
Yeah.
need to understand what you're doing. It is possible to be a healthy vegetarian if you continue eating feeding foods. And these are only animal foods. So if you continue eating eggs, plenty of eggs, and full fat or high fat dairy, and occasionally at least eat fish and meat, then you can remain a healthy vegetarian. And it's important to process all your plants correctly. Do a lot of fermentation, a lot of sprouting, proper cooking, proper preparation of plant matter. Vegetarians who get into trouble are the ones who start living on macaroni, cheese, and sugar, and processed carbohydrates. They get ill very quickly. And those who try to be low-fat vegetarians, they get
Yes.
ill very quickly as well. Their immune system collapses, the nervous system collapses, and they develop serious conditions. What you need to veganism, so that's vegetarianism. Vegans are people who exclude all animal foods. They try to live entirely on plants. So veganism is not a diet. Please understand it. It's a form of fasting. Fasting is beneficial for health. You're cleansing your body in a powerful way on a fast. But nobody can fast forever. So veganism must never be used as a permanent lifestyle. It's all right to be a vegan for maximum 40 days, preferably 21 days maximum, to cleanse your body. If you're overweight and you're toxic, overloaded, then, putting yourself on a vegan fast can be helpful, but then you need to introduce animal foods. But to be permanently vegan, you will get yourself into trouble. Cancer is very common amongst vegans. Their immune system collapses, their nervous system collapses. They have a lot of psychiatric problems and other problems, vegans. So please read my vegetarian book to understand the picture fully.
Now, Alvin Kurtz says, Dr. Natasha is a true doctor. Yes, I agree there. Could you please ask her about her knowledge of brain science and the vagus nerve connection? Thank you, guys. So that's from Alvin Kurt.
Vagus nerve is part of our parasympathetic nervous system. We have an autonomic nervous system. It's part of the overall nervous system. And autonomic nervous system is responsible for automatic functions in our body, for our heart beating, for our lungs breathing, for the liver doing all these functions without us having to think about it and orchestrate it. And the autonomic nervous system is divided into two branches, which usually work in opposition to each other, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So sympathetic is fight and flight. That allows us to mobilize and deal with a crisis or deal with something that intensively needs to be done. Well, parasympathetic is rest and digest, to recover from vigorous activity. afterwards. And vagus nerve is part of parasympathetic nervous system. It's an amazing nerve which comes out of the brainstem and then goes all over the body to every organ, every inner organ in the body. And it usually orchestrates the parasympathetic. And quite often in our modern world, which is full of stress and full of vigorous activity, many people are in a sympathetic state mostly. They're constantly running on a mill, in a rat race. And as a result, parasympathetic system is often suppressed in people. That is why their digestive system suffers. They don't digest their food well. Their immune system is under par. And lots of other problems develop in people. So their vagal nerve is suppressed in many of these people. That's why there are some techniques for stimulating it, massage techniques and gymnastics and exercises and other sort of things for people. It's important for all of us to review our lifestyles, not to burn the candle from both ends, because it's important to have a balance between rest and digest and activity in life.
That's fascinating. I mean, I actually fast about 16 to 18 hours a day, and I felt a lot better since I do that, because I wake up in the morning and I have a huge meal first thing in the morning. People think, how can you do that? But I do. And but everyone to their own.
I have a question for Dr. Natasha from one of the listeners who has a problem with low-functioning thyroid. They've been on, it's called levothyroxine for a long time, and they told her that if they get off of it, they're going to be in big trouble. What would you have to say for somebody with a low-functioning thyroid?
It's very common in the world, low-functioning thyroid, and again, it is a GAPS condition. I'll explain how it develops. What happens in people when the gut lining is porous and leaky like that? Foods absorb undigested, all sorts of toxins absorb into the bloodstream, products of microbial activity absorb. And many of them attach themselves to receptor sites in the body. They occupy receptors because they're just compatible with them. Like they go like a hand into a glove into that receptor, just about somehow, and they occupy the receptor. And that happens a lot with thyroid receptors because the thyroid gland produces hormones. They go into the blood, and then the blood carries them to various places in various organs in the body to do their work. In order to do their jobs in those tissues and organs, the thyroid hormone has to connect to its receptor. But if the receptor is slap occupied by a toxin, thyroid hormone just floats around idly, it can't attach, and so it can't do a job. So the doctors do testing of thyroid hormones, and they look in the blood and they say, gosh, you've got plenty of thyroid hormones, but the clinical picture that they see in front of them is a typical picture of a low thyroid function. That's what usually happens in the initial stages. That's called a functional deficiency. And it very often happens with thyroid hormones and adrenal hormones and some other active molecules in the body and some nutrients as well. Initially, it was discovered with vitamin B6, this situation. So in order to help this person, we need to cleanse the body. We need to, first of all, heal and seal the gut wall so these toxins stop coming in and stop occupying the receptor sites around the body, receptors of thyroid hormone. And for that, we need to follow the GAPS diet, go through the GAPS introduction diet to heal the digestive system. And then once these toxins are gone, the receptors will be cleansed, the immune system will clean them up, the thyroid hormone will start working properly. And the symptoms of low thyroid function, when this thyroid hormone can't function in the body, are very numerous and very unpleasant. You put weight on, you can't lose weight. Your skin becomes dry, you become depressed, you're sleepy all the time, you're lethargic, the shape of your face changes, your hair starts falling out, and all kinds of unpleasant symptoms in this sort of situations. If this situation continues a long time, then the whole thyroid system, with the hormones that are produced in the brain, which stimulate the thyroid gland to produce hormones, because the brain interferes, it gets involved in the whole situation. Then the whole balance of hormones is abnormal. The thyroid stimulating hormone is quite often high, trying to stimulate the thyroid gland to produce, it gets exhausted. And the thyroid gland itself can get contaminated by this toxicity coming out of the gut, causing inflammation and causing damage in the gland itself. So in that situations, doctors usually prescribe this kind of medications, levothyroxine, and that's a synthetic drug which imitates the hormone. It usually doesn't work very well because if the receptor sites are occupied by toxins coming out of the digestive system, it's not going to work. Just like a normal thyroid hormone, it's not going to work. So the only way to deal with this situation is to heal and seal your gut wall, to stop that leak, to stop the toxins from coming in. Then the body will cleanse itself. Then your own hormones will start functioning. And then, only then, you will be able to come off that medication. You'll be able to come off it quite rapidly. It's a good idea to reduce the dose by half for a while, then reduce the remaining dose by half. So wean yourself off gradually from it. But you can't start from that. First, you need to heal and seal the gut wall, stop the toxins from coming in, and then allow the body to cleanse, allow your own thyroid hormones to start working. Only then you can start removing the medication. Please read my blue book to understand this subject in detail.
I sent them your website, drnatasha.com. So that hopefully will help too. They can look into that. Are there any particular foods that are very helpful to the thyroid hormone, as you said?
Meat
or is
stock.
it just general meat stock? Okay,
Meat stock and thyroid glands of animals.
Now that's interesting.
A cow has quite a large thyroid gland, so a good butcher can collect you a few thyroids, and you can put them in the freezer and just make a mince or fry them with eggs.
That's called sweetbreads.
It's interesting, because traditionally in Britain in particular, sweetbreads are the testicles of the animal.
Is that what they call them there? Okay.
Yes,
because I know here in Mexico they make chorizo with the sweetbread, the glands, the thyroid, the neck area.
Very good. What I do on my farm, we collect all the organs from our animals and we make an organ mince.
Yeah.
We just put the whole thing through a mince: lungs, hearts, glands, intestines, stomachs, the whole lot. And then we do half of the ordinary mince made out of muscle and half of this organ mince. And you make a meatloaf or burgers or any other recipes. People don't even notice.
I used to do my own butchering because I was a farmer raising animals, pigs and cattle. And I'd make sausages from the internal organs of like the pig and mix it in with some of the meat and the fat and spice it up a bit. And it was really good. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Delicious. And many people don't realize that they're eating organs. If you eat these kind of things regularly, then you don't need to worry. Your organs will tick on very nicely.
I remember going to Russia and near Georgia. And a lot of the meats, the dishes that they had there involved organ meats, like lungs and that sort of thing, heart, kidney, all those things. It was more common in the old world than it is in the new world. Like it's uncommon in America, especially. You'll get Braunschweiger liverwurst, they call it, but that's about the least common type of meat, or the most common type of organ meat, or offal as they call it. But it's not so common. You might go to a restaurant and see liver and onions, which is somewhat common, but that's about it.
We need to restore these traditions. We need to bring them back. And we can't rely on our food industry to do that for us. They will not, because it doesn't fit into their business model. We need to do it at home ourselves. It's not difficult. And there are beautiful recipes.
Now, there's a very serious question here from Agra. And Agra says, had a kidney removed from cancer, now have renal cancer in lungs. If eating lungs would help, what lung would you eat?
Any lung from a healthy animal. Beef, lamb, goat, pork,
Horse.
horse, exactly. Any kind.
They're a bit twitchy about that in Britain, aren't they? Eating horses.
Well, here in America too, it's not so
Yeah.
common. But
Yes.
like I said, the old world, the continental.
Mm. Well, in China, it's dog as well.
Yeah, well, they know. I mean, and the especially, it seems like the poorer regions that we'd consider poorer regions where they have to rely on these foods. You do see healthier people. Like you go into villages in India and places, and you see healthy people that live until their 90s, and they don't dye their hair or anything. They still have black hair, and they're just eating different. They appreciate the animal a lot more than we do.
Absolutely. People in less industrialized countries are much healthier and more capable of producing lots of healthy children.
Yeah.
While the Western world, which considers itself very sophisticated and wealthy, are the sickest nations in the world.
Oh, it's a classic here. Everyone says eating horses is fine. Just make sure the jockey has got off before cooking. Sorry, that's a terrible one, isn't it? But now viewers probably notice I'm bouncing up and down on my seat, moving around a lot. And the reason why, I've got bloody sciatica. And I'm going to see my doctor, Dr. Miles Fleetwood, who's an acupuncturist. Hopefully on Tuesday. But what should I eat for my bleeding sciatica? Excuse my language. It's so you notice I'm sort of like this most of the time, moving around. I mean, is it just rest? I
Go on the
suppose.
first stage of the introduction diet, GAPS introduction diet. Have lots of meat stock. Make soup with meat stock, gelatinous meat stock. You need collagen because the spine is made out of lots and lots of little joints.
Collagen, yes.
That's right. And every joint has a joint capsule and surfaces and liquid inside and discs and meniscs and other little things there. And they're all made out of collagen. Your spine has a huge concentration of collagen. You got sciatica in the first place because you've been losing collagen, and that makes those joints unstable and weak, and they slide about. And that would cause sciatica.
That's it. Thanks for telling me.
Collagen reserves, that's right. So start eating lots of meat stock, just a cup of meat stock every hour. Eat soup made with this meat stock with well-cooked vegetables. Eat gelatinous meats, that means ligaments around the joints, which are again rich in collagen, bone marrow, and boil the spine of animals and eat the spinal cord out of that spine. Absolutely. And fermented vegetables and fermented dairy products, kefir. Absolutely, yes. So eat these sort of things, and you'll get better.
Oh, thank you very much. But I think I'm going to get the needle on Tuesday. Oh, no, actually, you don't feel a thing. I mean, I've had acupuncture. You sit there. He's a good friend of mine as well. And I thought, I'll get on with it. First time I had acupuncture, I was sitting there thinking, I hope I don't show myself up by going, ah! And I was sitting there thinking, I wish he'd get on with it. He's chatting away, I'm talking away. He'd done it. I just didn't feel a thing. Absolutely unbelievable. But now, Alvin Court says, what does Dr. Natasha think regarding animals receiving vaccines? And is this a concern for us eating meat? It's an interesting one here.
We should all try to find good farmers who love their animals and love their land and who have their animals on pasture. Because cows and goats and sheep and pigs, they've been all, and chickens and turkeys, they've been all designed by Mother Nature to live on pasture. Not in a building, not in some confined animal factory operation, living on concrete. They need to live on pasture with a wide variety of herbs and grasses. So you want a proper regenerative pasture, proper regenerative farm. Buy your meats directly from this farmer.
There's not too many around. That's the trouble.
Right. Then you don't need to worry. In America in particular, you have a wonderful organization called Weston A. Price Foundation, WAPF, which produces every year a shopping guide with hundreds and hundreds of farmers from all over the world who produce this quality of food, the best quality of food. And many of them ship long distance.
Really?
You can order your meat. You don't have to go to your local butcher. You don't have to visit your supermarket at all if you have that shopping guide. Get your shopping guide from WAPF, Western A Price Foundation.
I'm writing a note of this PF
Mhm.
shopping guide.
WAPF shopping guide. You will find their website, westernaprice.org, and you will find that shopping guide there. And you'll be surprised that you'll find all the right farmers just right around you in your own area. We can buy the best quality food. You don't have to worry. What
So-
we need to understand also about animals, that animals have powerful detoxification system. We human beings have a powerful detox system with the headquarters in the liver and departments in every cell of the body. It's a cleaner in the body which deals with toxic chemicals, with pollution, with byproducts of our own metabolism. So an animal which is fed inappropriate food, his body, if it's a healthy animal, will manage to neutralize a lot of it. So eating any meat is safer than eating a carrot that's been directly sprayed, because plants don't have such detoxification systems as the animals do. But of course, we should all look for proper animals, proper quality meat, proper quality milk, and eggs and fish.
There's also, Daisy said, haggis is awful, but you can't get haggis unless you pay a lot of money for it in Marks and Spencer's, because it's Burns Night coming up. So every haggis has been bought, I think. So
Really?
well, yeah, and well, down here, I don't know what it's like in Scotland, but you don't really have much choice of haggis down here. You've only got sort of 2 manufacturers, and that's it, that export from Scotland that I know of.
Look for farm shops. We have a farm shop not far from us here in Norfolk where they sell haggis.
Well,
It's a homemade one. They make it themselves.
I'm in walking distance of a farm shop, but they do sell meat, and they do sell some meat from, what was it, Bridget's Farm. I don't know if you've heard of Bridget's Farm. It's in near Ware in Hertfordshire, and they do eggs as well. And the thing I've noticed with eggs, you get an ordinary egg, and it's like water. The yolk, it's just, you get an organic egg, it's glutinous, solid. It won't go anywhere. The difference is worlds apart. I'll only eat organic eggs now. I will not eat any other egg. And, with chicken, I'll only eat organic chicken. But the farm that I go to, they can't say it's organic, but it is, because it costs too much money to label it. So I get my chickens from there. And
Absolutely.
but-
Organic standards have been corrupted and degraded in the last 10 years. You can't trust an organic label in the supermarket anymore, unfortunately. So it doesn't mean anything, organic label anymore. You want to
Really?
speak to the person, you want to deal with the person who's got chickens. And you want to look at those chickens. Chickens need to run around free. They need to free range around the garden, around the land, if it's a farm, because chickens eat a lot of grasses and herbs, and they find their own meat on pasture, the insects and grubs and worms, and that's their meat. And do you know where the yellow color comes from in an egg yolk?
Not really, no.
It comes from carotenoids that chickens eat in abundance from herbs and grasses. Chickens eat a lot of herbs and grasses. Do you know where the yellow color comes from in a supermarket egg?
Chemicals, I would assume, that are in the
dye.
feed.
That's right. From synthetic dye that's added into the feed of the chicken.
Well,
So which
well,
egg is going to give you good health?
precisely.
It's very important that chickens live a happy and healthy life, running around, free ranging on pasture, the whole farm, everywhere. So they can go on a compost heap and dig up there whatever they can find, and walk around the herbs and grasses and eat lots of those, and go to the wormery and go to all sorts of other places. Then you will get real eggs, which will give you fantastic health. Eggs are Mother Nature's, best food.
You're right.
They are wonderful. Everybody should have at least 2 eggs per day, preferably 5. particularly growing
I do.
children. It's
Oh,
the
yes.
best. It's the best breakfast food. Eggs.
Oh, marvellous. I love eggs. And, well, let's face it was chickens, I have to say rabbits, that kept this country alive during World War II. Because
Yeah.
people kept chickens and shot rabbits. And what did the government do at the end of World War II? They didn't want people eating rabbits. So they put myxomatosis down to kill them. So you
Exactly.
couldn't eat the rabbits. So that's good of them, isn't it? Nothing. Very good, thinking on the side of the people, I don't think. But it's interesting what you said about rabbits. I didn't realise that because don't eat them all the time. It's fascinating.
No, if you cook rabbit, add plenty of animal fat, plenty of pork fat.
Hmm.
If you
Okay,
cook rabbit meat in pork fat, delicious.
What do you advise people on limited budgets to do, though? Like you get the elderly and people that's got family and children haven't got too much money to spend, and organic is expensive. And have you any advice for people on a low budget, what they can actually do to get the good vitamins and things?
First of all, cook your own meals. The most expensive things that people buy are processed foods and takeaway. Because, you think that this packet of cereal is not expensive, but you're buying something that will not feed you at all. You've thrown that money away. It's better to invest in chuchu eggs. So that's the first thing. Stop eating processed foods. Stop buying everything in tins and packets. Buy your dirty potatoes. Buy your dirty vegetables. Buy whatever meat you can buy. And don't buy expensive meats, expensive cuts. Pork heads are cheap at a butcher shop because nobody wants them. You'll get the most fantastic nutrition for your whole family for a whole week from a head of a pig.
Yes.
If you boil
And slow cooker. And slow cook it, you don't use much electricity.
slow cook it in water. So you've got stock, you can make soup with it, and the head itself will provide you with the best nutrition for the whole family. The best fats, the best proteins, the best vitamins. Liver is not expensive. Tongue
It's cheap.
is organs are absolute delicacy in other countries. To buy a tongue in Russia, you will pay a premium. You will buy much more than for a fillet steak to buy a tongue, a beef tongue. Yes, absolutely, because people know it's a delicacy. People know that there's only one tongue on a big cow.
Right.
So it is very expensive. It's sold immediately. Here, they don't know what to do with it. The butchers throw them away, give them to dogs, dog food and cat food and whatever else. Buy these things, buy organs, which the butchers, and if you speak to the butcher, and what I used to do before we got the farm, and what I used to recommend to maybe befriend your local butcher by buying a piece of something, you pay for it, and then ask him, have you got any bones and offcuts that you're throwing away? At the back of every butcher shop, there's a big bin where they throw away things that nobody wants. They're perfectly fresh. They're not rotten or contaminated or anything else like that. Just nobody wants them. You will need to bring your car to get all the bags that he will give you for free.
They make it into render. They bring a big rendering truck.
And then you will make, and these are the most nourishing bits, the best in terms of health for you and your family, and you'll get them for free. So just befriend the local butcher, have a good conversation, tell him that you've got health problems in the family, you are on a special diet, and you need these bits and pieces. And these bones, then you put into the pan, add a few offcuts, fill it up with water, salt, pepper, let it cook for 3-4 hours. You'll get the most gelatinous, beautiful meat stock, which will restore the health of every member of your family if you consume it on a daily basis. Add a few vegetables, strip off whatever meats that are left on those bones, bang the bone marrow out on a wooden chopping board after the bone was cooked, return it into the stock. You will have the most fantastic soup, which will keep in the fridge for at least a week. You can always warm up a portion of it and feed the whole family. You will feed them properly. You will feed them for health, your family. And there will be a steady blood sugar level. There will be no cravings for anything sweet. There will be steady good behavior, ability to learn in your children, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. And it's cheap, even free. for you.
That's good advice. Big problem, as I say, around where I live, the last butcher went out of business during the lockdown, or just after lockdown. There used to be 2 or 3 round here, and as I say, the nearest one now is quite a distance away. You're talking 15 miles, something like that, 10, 15 miles.
Well,
So it's a long trip.
Drive. All it takes is getting a second-hand chest freezer, putting it in your garage or somewhere wherever you have space. They're not expensive, second-hand chest freezers. Whenever you can get a big bag of bones like that, or offcuts, or something else, or maybe once a week you drive to a proper butcher, put them all in your freezer.
Yeah.
So in the morning when you wake up
idea.
and you think, what am I cooking for dinner tonight for the whole family? You don't start rushing around shops. You go to your freezer.
Yeah, and once a month for that matter, if you're freezing it.
Exactly.
Well, that's it. Yes.
All the time. There are a lot of good, the most nourishing parts of animals in the Western world are thrown away or destroyed.
Sad, isn't it?
You were talking about not eating seed oil. Another thing you can do is get the suet, the fat tallow from the butcher, and render that yourself. It renders very easily.
Yeah. People should cook only on animal fats. Cooking must never be done on vegetable oils, on any plant oils.
Yes. I use lard.
If you have bottles of those oils in your house, throw them away. Never ever buy those large bottles of vegetable oils. They're a poison. They destroy human physiology on the most basic fundamental level, causing every chronic disease. This has been proven for 100 years now. In hundreds, maybe thousands of studies now. They are the cause of every chronic disease epidemic in our world. Never cook anything on it. And that means never buy takeaway, don't eat out. Eating out very often is a very unhealthy habit.
I agree with you.
And expensive.
You will not avoid chronic disease if you eat out. Because everything in those cafes and restaurants is cooked on vegetable oils, and lots of other ingredients are used which you don't want in your body. You cannot trust. Cook yourself at home from raw, fresh ingredients, and buy everything in the shape and form that Mother Nature presents us with.
With fish, though, there is no fishmongers left that I know of around where I live. No, I don't know of any fishmongers left. So I'm forced to buy it from the supermarket, frozen fish, which you've got to be careful because you think that this fish is wild, like it says wild salmon. It isn't. It's factory farmed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is no wild salmon in Britain anymore.
No.
It's all factory farmed, yes.
Yes,
So salmon may not be the best choice, but herring and sardines and mackerel are good choices. And we still get Atlantic prawns in this country, wild prawns, because fish needs to be wild, not farmed.
I agree with you. 100% agree with you. I usually go for mackerel. And I go to places like Iceland, not the country, the store, and their mackerel is very good, even though most of what I believe they sell is a load of old rubbish. I've often seen women with children around them, and what they've got in their supermarket trolleys, beggars belief, piles and piles of crisps and savoury things.
That is very expensive, and it causes disease.
It does. It's just poison.
In every possible way. If you want to economize on your food, cook yourself from fresh, natural ingredients in the body. You will cut down by half immediately on your food bill. Immediately. And you will be nourishing your family properly.
Yes. You're
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please, Patrick. Yeah, carry on.
Kind of off a bit from animals. What is your thought on vinegars? And which would be the best type of vinegars to consume?
Natural vinegars are wonderful. Homemade vinegars, cider vinegar, wine vinegar, whatever fruit or vegetable can be made into vinegar. It's very simple and easy to make. The recipes are all online. So make your own vinegars, and they're nice to add into water, into meals. It's very good. But the most nourishing things and important things is fermented vegetables. We should all, fermentation is not optional for human physiology. Because for most of our existence on the planet, We didn't have supermarkets. We can buy anything out of season from, cherries from Chile and avocados from Israel and whatever. These things didn't exist for thousands of years. And food was seasonal. People grew their own food and was highly perishable. So people looked for ways of preserving food. And the most effective way to preserve food for years, for a long time, is fermentation. Sauerkraut, fermented cabbage, fermented carrots, fermented tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers. You can ferment anything. Any fruit or vegetable can be fermented. Very simple recipes. It's very simple to do.
Oh, it's easy.
And once you've made it, sauerkraut keeps for 6 years.
Really? 6 years? Because my sauerkraut goes very quickly because I eat it. But no, actually, there's several methods of making sauerkraut. And some people just cut the cabbage up and put 2% salted water over it, jar it, leave it for a couple of weeks, and they don't even bother massaging it to get the juices out. And that is the quickest way of doing sauerkraut. And but I found that massaging it to get the juices out is all right, but it's a bit tedious. So I do it the lazy person's way. I don't know if it makes any difference.
There are different recipes. Some vegetables are done in brine, in salty brine, if you want to preserve their shape.
Yes.
So some vegetables which are shredded can be massaged, can be kneaded with salt, and so they release juices. But whatever you've grown, if you have a garden and if you grow your own vegetables, whatever surplus you have, don't throw it away. Turn it into fermented vegetables. Pack it in jars, because next year you might not get a harvest of that vegetable. So you will have your fermented vegetables. And because people for millennia fermented most of their food, if they killed a pig and they could not eat the whole animal in a few days, the meat would just spoil, wouldn't it? So people would make ham. They would use salt for preserving the pork, preserving the meat. And that preserved it for months and months and months. And what is ham? Particularly Spanish ham and Croatian ham and Italian salami. These are fermented meats. Because the body of an animal is a microbial community, just as much as your own body is a microbial community. So when you salt a piece of meat like that and you hang it to cure, those microbes in the meat will start producing enzymes and start consuming a form of starch in the meat called glycogen. It's an equivalent, it's an animal form of starch. The same as starch in potatoes, that's the starch in meat. So these microbes start consuming all those sugars in the meat, producing enzymes, and these enzymes tenderize the meat and they pre-digest it for you. Fermented food is pre-digested for us by microbes. So it's easy for the human system to handle, for the human digestive system to handle. And this pre-digestion releases nutrients into the mixture. They become bioavailable. For example, I'll give you an example. A helping of sauerkraut, properly made sauerkraut, will provide your body with 20 times more bioavailable vitamin C than the same helping of fresh cabbage. Because in fresh cabbage, vitamin C is locked in the cellular structure of the cabbage, and human digestive system can't extract it. It goes through you. It doesn't do you any good. In a fermented cabbage, microbes have done all the jobs, all the work. They've released that vitamin C out of the structure of the cabbage into juices. So you get a large amount of vitamin C by eating sauerkraut. So fermented vegetables, your home fermented vegetables and fruit, are the best vitamin C supplements in the world.
That's amazing. I didn't realise that.
Very
From
cheap.
sauerkraut. And also, don't buy sauerkraut because it's probably full of chemicals. Make your own.
Make it yourself. It's a wonderful thing to do as a whole family. It can be very jolly and happy to do the whole thing. It doesn't have to be tedious at all, And once you've made a large batch of, if you found proper cabbages out of a private garden, because sauerkraut from supermarket bought cabbage, it doesn't work. You need to grow your own cabbage to make proper sauerkraut.
And also, I put mine in the cool with this weather. I leave it in a cool room. The sauerkraut.
In Britain, a shed in the garden, ideal.
Yeah, because I mean, all right, it ferments very quickly in the summer because of the heat, but I don't notice any difference. I just leave it for a couple of weeks outside and it's perfectly all right.
It ferments perfectly well. I say in British climate, just put a garden shed in the garden and put all your jars full of fresh sauerkraut in there. A couple of months, they'll be ready.
I remember visiting my friends near Kursk, and they had root cellars where they would jar all of their vegetables that they'd have in their garden and preserve it in the wintertime and just go down in the root cellar and put it, stock up shelves. And you'd go down there and it was just amazing. They had their own store. They didn't need that to go to just in their backyard of everything they needed.
People grow their own vegetables. It's a traditional society.
Right.
Where people grow their own vegetables in the garden and they preserve all of it. Most of it gets fermented. You can ferment plums. You can ferment apples. You can ferment.
Can you?
Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Delicious. Delicious. Absolutely beautiful. The best way to eat plums.
Really? But tomatoes I avoid now because the seeds are supposed to be quite bad for you because I think they can rip the lining of your gut.
No, if you ferment tomatoes, they will pre-digested.
Ah, I see.
And fermented foods, they're pre-digested, they're easy for the digestive system to handle. They're full of enzymes that are produced during the process of fermentations, which also assist the digestive process. They heal your digestive system. And they're probiotic. They contain probiotic microbes. That's the cheapest way of having probiotics, because buying probiotics is expensive, but eating your own fermented sauerkraut or vegetables or fruit will provide probiotics. And vitamin C, and lots of other nutrients which you haven't even researched yet, which are also pre-digested and released into the mixture in a bioavailable form.
What's your view? There's this about germ theory and terrain theory. What's your view on that?
Germ theory, was proposed by Pasteur.
Mm-hmm.
And it was picked up by the pharmaceutical industry. Lots of things were chopped off that theory, and it was presented to the world that the world is dangerous, full of these microscopic little things that we can't see, but they're out there and they're ready to pounce on you and devour you. So you need to be sterilizing everything you touch and take antibiotics and, the rest of it, and live in fear of these germs. That's the germ theory that we know. The reality is very different. This world belongs to microbes. Your body is a microbial community. 90% of you are microbes. And your skin and this air we breathe and everything you touch is full of microbes. So we shouldn't be afraid of them. They're our helpers. They're our friends. They're the environment that we live in. As long as there is balance and harmony between them and you and your own microbial community,
makes sense.
There's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. The last thing you want to do is just to use any sterilizing chemicals in your house, in your kitchen. Don't sterilize anything. Don't. It's counterproductive. If you have a healthy, balanced microbial community in your body, it will not let any microbe in. Forget about that. No microbe has any chance to get into you. So these viruses and viral infections, the colds and that people get, viruses are genetic materials, are snippets of genetic material. They are the free market of genetics that we live in. And your body is a free market of genetics because microbes live in a free market of genetics. They have an ability to throw genetics out of their bodies into this free market and pick up what they need into themselves. They change their genetics at will, depending on what they need, the microbes. The same with our bodies. So if your body got polluted, for example, you've been sat every morning in a traffic jam going to work and coming back home as well. So your nose, your nasal passages, your sinuses, your throat, accumulated a lot of exhaust pollution from exhaust pipes and dust and toxic metals and whatever. It's all sitting there in your mucous membranes, impregnating, so it's all contaminated in there. So your body at certain point thinks, well, I've got lots of rubbish accumulated in there, I need to cleanse. So it would pick a virus that's flying around and slot it into your genetics and switch on mechanisms, the immune system, so that the immune system then pays attention to your sinuses and to your throat and to your nose, to all that pollution that's accumulated in it. So the immune system then will switch on overproduction of mucus, production of juices. So your nose starts running. You start coughing and spluttering and sneezing, and you cleanse all of your mucous membranes that way. And if there is a need to dissolve some hard, crusted toxins in there, which are fat soluble and they congeal, then the body would need to increase the temperature in order to melt those fats. Because if your pan is greasy, you need hot water, don't you, to melt the fat and wash that pan properly. The same with your body. If you have fat-soluble toxins accumulating in your mucous membranes, in your breathing passages, you need to raise the temperature to melt the fats, to release those toxins and get rid of them, to sneeze them out, to cough them out, to get rid of through the runny nose. So you get a common cold with a bit of temperature, with sneezing, coughing, spluttering, with a bit of a headache, so you need to rest. That is a major cleansing event in your body, which you must never try to stop. You need to allow your body to do that. Because if you go to the doctors and start taking drugs, anti-inflammatory, immune suppressive drugs, and whatever else, to stop the whole process, then your breathing passages will left contaminated, dirty. And if you do it from one cold to the next, then you get cancer. These toxins will cause something very serious there. It's better to cleanse. It's better to not go to work and let the temperature run and sneeze and cough and let your mucous membranes cleanse properly. Just give yourself a few days of rest. It's very important to do that. That's what these viruses do. But have you noticed that you can have 10 people sitting in one room and somebody comes in with a cold, sneezing and coughing all over everybody? A couple of people will get that cold, the rest will not. Because their bodies are clean enough, they don't need to cleanse just yet. So they don't pick up that virus. They say, no, I don't need this genetic material, I'll let it pass. Well, those two were contaminated, that's why they got it. And the symptoms of the cold are not produced by the virus. They're produced by your own immune system cleansing you. Let your immune system do that work. Don't reduce the temperature.
Makes sense. I mean, Blue Ray says, what about parasites in the body?
Parasites are a part and parcel of our microbial community. They're normal. We all have them. Make no mistake, everybody's got worms, flukes, microscopic parasites, and long things too in your digestion. They're normal and they should be there. They're very important. They're part and parcel of our, microbial community, of the community of the living forms of life, breathing and living, that form your body, create your body. What the majority of worms and parasites, intestinal worms in particular, do, they lay eggs in the digestive system, and then the larva that hatches from those eggs has a very interesting life cycle. They're microscopic when they hatch out of the egg, so they burrow through the lining of your digestive system into the intestinal abdominal cavity, and they start traveling around your body. Like little hoovers, they vacuum toxins, toxic metals, industrial toxins, various chemicals, that your body is contaminated with. They suck into themselves. So they might spend some time in your abdominal cavity, some time in your liver, then move into your spleen, then move into your lungs, into your heart, into your brain, into your eyes. They go around everywhere. It takes them a few months to mature. And when they're mature enough, they then come into your lungs and climb up the breathing passages into the pharynx to be swollen again into the digestive system, or they burrow through the back lining of your pharynx, giving you sort of dry cough, irritated cough. So then again, you swallow them. And when they finish up in your digestive system again, in the upper digestive system, where they usually have their party and lay eggs again. And then these adults After they've laid eggs, they leave your digestive system through stool. They go into the toilet, taking that cargo of toxic metals, industrial toxins, and other poisons that they have hoovered, vacuum cleaned around your body with them. They cleanse you. The very important part of your whole overall bodily community. Your body is a community of life forms. So they're very important, these creatures. There have been limited research done when they analyzed the content of a body of a fluke, of a liver fluke, and the surrounding tissue. And they found that the body of a fluke had 100 times more mercury and lead in it than the surrounding tissue.
Wow.
Because that little creature went around the body sucking all this lead and mercury, collecting it to take it out of you, to cleanse you, to protect you. So they're very important, and there is no need to fight them. There's no need to attack them. The problem is that in our modern world, we are too contaminated. We are too poisoned. We're exposed to far too much industrial toxicity.
I agree with you there.
That's right. Toxins and parasites always go together. The more toxins, the more parasites. So if you have too much toxicity in your body, you will have a parasitic overload. There'll be too many of them. And of course, they excrete things as well. And they create their own, they go through every barrier in the body, creating some damage, creating some trauma somewhere. So they can cause disease, without doubt. They can cause a lot of problems. So in those situations, it's a good idea to periodically escort them out of the body. But you don't want to do it with pharmaceuticals. You don't want to just kill them, because all these bits of larvae that are sitting in your spleen, in your liver, in your abdominal cavity, full of lead and mercury and other toxins, will be dead. So what's your body going to do with that dead body sitting there full of toxins? It has to dissolve it, it has to dismantle it, it has to remove it. That will take a lot of resources, a lot of hard work. You can get quite ill as a result. No, you don't want to kill them.
That's right.
You don't want to kill them.
Right.
You want to escort them out of your body with thanks, alive and well. So they can take that cargo of toxicity out of your body, alive and well, without causing trouble to you. That's why it's best to use herbs. That is why every part of the world has a herbal protocol with local herbs, because they know their local herbs are adapted to the local parasites, the local creatures. And you take them for 2 months, these herbs usually, then you give it a month break, and then take it for 2 months again, because the larva keeps traveling, new larva keeps coming into the digestive system to keep escorting them out of the body, healthy and happy, so they can take all that toxicity with them.
That's brilliant. And it's so logical. I mean, I often see my friend Dr. Fleetwood. He's got a shop in Waltham Abbey, and I often sit there and sort of have a chat with him. He's a good mate of mine, and I hear the people coming into his shop, and some of the things they say about what their doctors have told them to do is unbelievable. I just sit there and go, and you think, what's happening? They're supposed to be health practitioners, and it just, well, I'm not a doctor. I've got no qualifications whatsoever. But even from a logical point of view, some of the things that people say, what the doctors have told them, you just think, what on earth? And I just wonder what's really happening with the health service. It seems to be full of people that are very theoretical and don't seem to have, they seem to be very, shall we say, academically aware that they've read a lot of books and they've passed a lot of exams, but they don't seem to have any logic. No logic whatsoever. It's just like robotic. Everything is robotic. And it's quite frightening what's happened throughout the world. I mean, this is how this medical intervention, which we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube, came about. And I didn't have it. I mean, last time someone plunged a needle into my arm, I was 11 years of age, and I didn't really have much to say in the matter. And I never wore a mask either. And I was the only person that did. It's surprising how, shall we say, follow the leader or the wolf pack mentality appears to be in humans. But do you think there is a change? There are people now walking away en masse from Big Pharma and going for what you're saying, the logical, natural route. Have you noticed that at all?
Well, there is a place for all forms of healing in our world, and there is a place for the mainstream medicine too. If you got run over by a bus, God forbid,
Oh, yes.
you need mainstream medicine. You don't want an ambulance to take you to a homeopath, right?
I understand. Yes.
You need a hospital. And because they know how to save our lives when it comes to that. They'll put your body together. But after that, healing of your body and bringing it back to good health is your job and only your job. So that's what the purpose of the mainstream medicine is. But when it comes to a chronic condition, degenerative condition that people develop, chronic symptoms developing in your body, a mainstream doctor is the most dangerous person you can go to.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The
Yes.
last person you can, that's when you need a homeopath. That's when you need a nutritionist. That's when you need my books. That's the most cheap way of finding out what's wrong with you. So you need to change your lifestyle. You need to change the way you eat. You need to change the exposure to environmental chemicals in your life. You need to reduce that exposure dramatically, because humanity is just absolutely has a love affair with chemicals. We fill our
does.
houses with chemicals. Bathrooms are full of chemicals. Our kitchens are full of chemicals, and every one of them is toxic and cause cancer and cause other problems. People don't even think about it. So that needs to be looked at very precisely. Possibly your profession needs to be changed. Possibly you need to move. So lots of things need to be done that only you can do. You need to find what's happened to you, why you got this disease. Because disease, a chronic disease in the body, is not an accident. You've caused it by your lifestyle, by the way you eat, by the food you eat, by the water you drink, by the way you think, by your mentality, by your attitude to life, by your behavior. And the only way to get rid of that disease is to change all of that, to correct your own mistakes, to take a different route, different path in life. So you need to do a lot of thinking, a lot of soul searching, and change your lifestyle and change your diet. Only then you can get rid of your disease. But there are many people who are not prepared to do all that work. They'd rather go to a doctor and get a pill who will suppress symptoms. That's all the doctor can do for you. They are not even trained to understand what causes chronic diseases. They think all chronic diseases are incurable, and all they can do is control symptoms, because that's what pharmaceutical industry tells them. Because controlling symptoms for the rest of your life is very profitable. That's a perfect business model for the pharmaceutical industry. That's, put you on a pill, which you have to take for the rest of your life. Wonderful. You're profitable. You provide them with a profit for the rest of your life while destroying your body, because your disease will continue progressing in your body. Plus, you will add that poison, the pharmaceutical, which will have side effects. And for every side effect, the doctor can give you another pill, which will have its own side effects. And you finish up with handfuls of pills, feeling worse and worse.
Yes, you're right. I mean, the funniest one I ever heard was there's a friend of a friend who's I think his daughter was always running down the doctors, and she had a cold, which you don't normally go to a doctor for. We went to the doctors, and the doctor said, you need depression tablets. She said, I'm not depressed. She said, yes, but you must be depressed because you got a cold. And he actually wrote out a prescription for depression tablets because he said she's got a cold, so she must be depressed. And that is true. That's 100% true. I didn't believe it. I thought that person was joking, but that's true. So you have a cold, so you take antidepressant tablets.
Well, the thing is, you see, symptoms in the human body are the way your body communicates to you that you are damaging it. By giving you pain, by giving you inflammation, by giving you limitation of function and a rash or something else, various symptoms, your body is calling for help. It's telling you, you're damaging me. Please stop, think, see what you're doing. You're doing something wrong. You're damaging me. But by taking pharmaceutical drugs to suppress pain, to suppress inflammation, to suppress the activity of the immune system, what you're doing, you're telling your body, stop calling for help and suffer in silence.
Yeah,
don't interfere. Right. So I feel comfortable, so I can continue destroying you. I can continue with my lifestyle without any paying any attention to you. So you are just silent. I'm silencing you up. That's what pharmaceutical drugs do. That's the only thing the doctor can do for you.
And look, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, all right, I've got no statistics in front of me, but people are not living as long as they used to. When I was a child, it was very common for people to live well over 100. Not any longer. Very rarely do you hear someone living over 100 now. And I don't know what it was like in Russia, where the people were living over 100. But I know that when I was in my sort of teens, and just before I even started work, very common people living over 100. But how many people today do you hear living to a ripe old age? Very, very few. So I actually think the life expectancy has dropped a lot.
It is, and it will continue dropping. You see,
Yes.
the people that are in their 80s now and 90s now, they were born before the Second World War. The whole planet was organic.
Yes.
Just think about that. There was no organic food. There was just food. Because all food was clean. The agricultural chemicals were not developed so well yet. There were some, but not anywhere near as much. There were no antibiotics. They were not discovered yet. There were no vaccinations. So their generations went through all the childhood infections in their childhood. Measles, mumps, rubella, scarlet fever, and all the other. These infections are vital for a child to go through. They're essential. Because children are born into this world and their immune system needs education. It needs to be acquainted with the environment on this planet. Every infection, childhood infection, comes as a university, a whole university for that immune system to educate it on a whole load of things that are on this planet, present on this planet, how to deal with them, how to live with them, how to react to them correctly. If a child was allowed to go through measles naturally, or through mumps, or through rubella, or through chickenpox, or any other of those infections, childhood infections, by statistics, the epidemiological studies show that these people are mostly protected from cancer, autoimmunity, and allergies. They practically never develop autoimmune disease, allergies, or cancer because their immune system got properly educated. They're properly protected. The whole vaccination paradigm, the whole fear of these childhood infections is based on fear. Just that.
It's full of fear. And this is what gets me about the modern health service. It's full of negativity. And to me, what you've said tonight is positive. It makes people happy. Yes, I can cure it. I can do something. Dr. Myhill, exactly the same. My friend, Dr. Fleetwood, exactly the same. Yes, but something positive. If you go anywhere near a hospital or anything like that, what do you get? Fear porn all over the walls. You could be suffering from this. Did you cough last night? Oh, you could be suffering from that. It's just negative. And in Australia, the Aborigines had something called pointing the bone. And they'd point a bone at some poor soul, tell them to go away and die, and they did. It's not as simple as that, but it's quite a ceremony they did. And I think that's what the modern health service does. It points the bone in many situations.
Modern medicine is about disease. It's all about disease. It's diagnosing disease, finding disease, treating disease, talking about disease. It's all disease. The more we talk about disease, the more disease you get. where we want health, don't we?
Yeah.
We need
and
to
happiness.
Talk about health, exactly, and happiness. And we need to do things to bring health and happiness, not disease. We shouldn't. Whatever you focus on, you get more of in your life. You focus on health, you get more of health. If you focus on disease, you'll get disease. That's right. That's how it works, basically. But coming back to measles and to all the other childhood infections, the decisive factor in whether the child will sail through that infection and come out the other end healthier and happier, or the child will get a complication, is the nutritional status of the child. If the child is eating plenty of soup, gelatinous meat stock, animal fat, meat, eggs, milk, dairy, then the child will have no deficiencies in protein and fat-soluble vitamins, and that child will sail through that measles, through that chicken pox, through that infection, and come out the other end healthier than before. But if the child lives on breakfast cereals, on skimmed milk, on crisps, sweets, baguettes, pasta, and other stuff like that, then the child will have severe nutritional deficiencies and will be prone to complications. And it's based on that, because everybody's been convinced to feed their children that way. Children have severe nutritional deficiencies, and then they're being scared of measles and scared of other childhood infections. And vaccinations are wheeled out to these people. Vaccinations do not produce proper immunity. A human being can only get proper immunity from against an infection by going through that infection. Vaccination doesn't give it. All the latest outbreaks of measles in the world, in the Western world, happened in practically 100% of all these victims were fully vaccinated.
Oh, yes. And look at the 1918 flu epidemic that came out.
Exactly. They were fully vaccinated, all of these people. Vaccinations do not give you proper immunity. They don't.
Well,
only the disease gives you proper immunity.
You're spot on. I 100% agree with you there. And as I say, the last time somebody stuck a needle in my arm, I was 11 years of age, and I didn't want anything more after that. Anyway, Dr. Natasha, it's been the fastest, my word, we've been 2.5 hours almost, and it's been fantastic. It's the fastest 2.5 hours we've had. Please come on again, because it's been absolutely jaw-droppingly fascinating. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about my sciatica as well. And I do apologise for sort of like this most. But thank you so much. You've helped so many people in that, and this is the long here. There's a website, drnatasha.com. And how many books have you written so far? Excuse me.
5, and I'm planning to release a new book, which will be on farming.
Oh, that's interesting.
When we bought this piece of land in Norfolk, it was very damaged by industrial agriculture. We literally had no soil. So we've learned an awful lot, and we were complete beginners. We were city people. We didn't know the first thing about growing food. So the land and the animals teach you lessons every day, and we've made a lot of mistakes. So I decided to write a book to help people like what we were 12 years ago. People who don't know where to start, have no idea how to go about it, but would like to become self-sufficient in food, would like to produce at least some of their food. That's what this book will be for. It will be for those kind of people. It will be a self-sufficiency book, and watch out for it. It will come out next year, hopefully.
That's fantastic. And something I'd like to bring up in the future, if you're excuse me, Mum. I actually think a lot of this, what they're pumping into children at a very young age now with injections and things, I think is causing psychological and mental problems. I really do believe that. We seem to have a generation coming through now, which is not only sickly, but views the world in a very different way to what previous generations did. And although every new generation shocks the previous generation, this is in a way that we've never seen before. So I'm wondering whether it's causing problems. I've got no technical data on it. I don't know. I'm just working from the observations that I see. But
every learning disability, every psychiatric and mental illness is gaps. And that's what I've described in my yellow book, my first book. Please read this book. You will understand why your child behaves in a certain way, why your child can't learn, why there are deficits, and why there is anxiety or panic attacks or bipolar disorder or anything else. This book will explain all of that, and it will give you practical tools on how to get rid of the thing. I have thousands and thousands of children around the world who recovered from autism.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Dyslexia, dyspraxia, bipolar disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, and any other disorder.
It's surprising what can be cured.
That's right. It can be cured, and it can be got rid of. And the power is in your own hands. It's in the kitchen. It's in the
Well,
kitchen.
you're right, and I mean this trigger finger. I actually think, I mean, because my ancestors were Vikings, I've got this trigger finger. I actually think that can be cured as well, and I'm not going to have an operation on it. Definitely not.
Human body,
I'm
human body is a miraculous creation. It heals
yeah,
itself.
mm,
It's your own body that heals itself. Not the
it
doctor,
is.
not the pill, not the diet, nothing. Your own body does the healing. All you have to do is remove obstacles and provide the right materials for your body. It will do
That's
the work, it
fantastic.
will heal itself, and it can heal anything because it has an energetic matrix behind this physical frame, which has everything 100% correct. And it wants to correct everything, it wants to bring back to normal everything. It's just we interfere with it. We don't let the body to do the job properly.
That's right. That's right. And I think
All you
Alvin,
have to do is
Alvin
just do that.
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you then, but Alvin Court sums it up. It says, Dr. Natasha, it's right, he's got his words a little bit back to front here. Thank you so much. Your work really helped me out so much. Sorry to break my, well, yeah, but sort of, I think I get what he's getting at. Your work has really helped him a lot. So that's it.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
mate. I think I've interpreted it the correct way around.
Yeah, we'll have to get. You're doing farming now. Talk to Mark, the bowler-hatted farmer.
Yes.
He's got the Food Finders Hub website, and he's
That's
working
right.
with thousands of farmers to help to find good food
Yes.
locally with
Good,
everybody.
good. So he runs the food finder in Britain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's good
Yes.
friends with Eric.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you don't mind, I can pass that on. Please,
absolutely.
please. No, I won't use blackmail, but please come on again because this has been the quickest 2.5 hours I've had. And by next time you come on, you see, I'll have me collagen and all that. Me bloody sciatica had gone by then, so I should be all right. I'm not so all the time.
He'll be jumping around with health.
Well, yes, that's it. But let's face it, you've got to have the bad times to enjoy the good times, haven't you? Really. So there it is. And as I usually say, tomorrow night we've got another show coming on, and of course New Year's Day I'll be a guest on Paul English's show as well. Thank you, Dr. Natasha. Thank you very much also,
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you,
Patrick.
Dr. Natasha. Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Everybody, well, thank you. And also everyone in chat, thank you so much. It's very much appreciated. And it just leaves me to say, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.